Welcome to Get Real. We're so excited that you're joining us today for another engaging conversation with independent financial advisors and industry leaders who support them. Today we have a double hitter.
Yes.
We are so grateful to have the Fragasso Financial Advisors, Bob Fragasso, founder, chairman, and CEO, and Dan Dingus, president and executive director of portfolio management. Gentlemen, welcome to Get Real.
Thank you for having us on.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Welcome. We're so happy that you can join us. You're our first tag team that we're having. So there's a first one for the history books for Get Real.
Definitely.
So we're going to get right started with asking you, Bob. You are celebrating 25 years. You've built an amazing organization from your growth of assets to adding to your team. You've recently had wonderful accolades from Barron's, hitting the top, let me make sure my list here is the top 1,200 financial advisors, ranking number 1 in Western PA and number 5 in the state from an advisor. Share with our audience all of your successes and what your passion was and your dream to open your organization so many years ago.
Well, again, thank you for having us on, and Dan and I are very appreciative for the chance to tell our story. We've got a lot of exciting things going on now, but to answer your question about the retrospective, we did become independent 25 years ago. That followed 24 years of growing my practice group within a large national firm. So it's a total of 49, but 25 years in independence. That move to independence became necessary and desirable as the national brokerage firm where we were affiliated began to place a heavy emphasis on internally manufactured investment and insurance products. And that's not a negative about them, but it became necessary because they needed to support the infrastructure. But that wasn't where we were in our minds and where we were serving our clients. So we moved to independence in 1996. And at that time, we were only 11 people, and we did both brokerage and fee-based. Today, as you mentioned, we're 44 people, and we are responsible for just under $2 billion of assets. And that growth happened specifically, to answer your question, one, because we determined what kind of a firm we wanted to be, as opposed to coming in every day and sort of making it up. We created a functioning organizational structure. That's not limiting, that's empowering to do something like that. And very importantly, we fashioned and empowered a management team, delegated responsibility, and welcomed creative input and action from that team. That's worked well for us, and that accounts for the growth.
I think that is significant as part of your growth and your team, and it's something that we talk to our clients about all the time. You need to have members on your team who can help you realize your vision and in serving your clients. So Dan, share with us the types of clients that you're serving and how are you meeting and delivering on their goals?
Sure. Our clients are primarily high net worth individuals, and that remains our core business. I'd probably guess individual high net worth clients probably represent about 85% of our assets. Additionally, we have what we call institutional assets, which really represent nonprofit clients, your foundation and endowments, and additionally retirement plan clients, which, think of your 401k plans. And as Bob mentioned, empowering managers and departments. At Fragasso, we have specific departments and individuals who concentrate solely on those types of clients, be it the high net worth individual clients or the departments that make up the institutional assets that focus on 401k plans or your nonprofits, your foundations and endowments. Probably from a geographic standpoint, most clients have ties to Western Pennsylvania where we were headquartered. But we have clients all over the country. I think last I checked, we'll probably have clients in almost 46 states and even a few international clients where warranted. So obviously the firm has kind of grown considerably since our Western Pennsylvania roots, but it's in these day and age, you can serve clients anywhere very easily.
Certainly now, because of COVID, we've certainly all learned how to pivot significantly in delivering the value that you're offering to your clients without them having to come into the physical office.
Absolutely. And that really comes down to how you want to scale your business, right, too? And, Bob, I'd be interested in understanding your perspective in terms of scaling businesses, in a fragmented industry and this sort of pull toward independence. Do you see a shift in how advisors are looking to grow and scale their businesses?
I do. That's a very to the point question. To go back over that 49 years that I referenced, way back in the beginning when I started, it was a combination at that time of national firms, some regional firms, and a lot of partners capital firms. But they were primarily brokerage firms. And then when commissions became unfixed in the 1970s, it sort of imploded. Those partners capital firms couldn't compete. That's a lesson for us today, and we'll come back to it. And it became an amalgamation of national firms competing with each other and trying to do everything for everybody. Well, now, post-PC revolution in the early 90s, and an open regulatory system that allows for independence and the growth of platforms, we're back to where it started. A combination of national firms as well as, and I think it's a good thing, a proliferation of independent advisors in various configurations. What's important, though, is the competition and the demands of an informed marketplace require scale today for those independent practices. Clients want top-level advisory guidance at a competitive price. They want it all. They should have it all. We can deliver it all. But it cannot be accomplished with the workbench approach that many of us as independents have taken over time, and many still do today. You can't come in and open a drawer and pull things out and start to work on it. It has to be systematized. It has to be organized. The investment in the IT resources that are necessary to enable us independents to compete against the best capitalized firms are required. Those investments are required because clients understand what's available from the best firms and they want it from all of us. So if we're going to be successful in this marketplace, we absolutely have to provide that. This is the ideal time to be an independent advisor, provided you can offer the best services and investment methodologies. All of that has to be delivered in a cost and time efficient manner.
And
I'm sorry, I'll just punctuate that.
Sure.
That allows for the advisor to do what he or she does best, and that's individually guide clients. You could not be effective if you're spending 50% of your time on non-client oriented work. So everything has to be automated and delegated, other than client work.
I was going to say, you made a great point. I think today's consumers, the clients that advisors are looking to work with, they know what's out there. So, in terms of technology and how that makes things flow more easily within an office, you do need that combination of great technology, obviously your know-how, right? Your prowess to do the work that you do for them. But there really isn't an accommodation from the client's perspective. I need you to have these things, and if you don't have them, then I'll go somewhere else, right?
The competition
You're
is
absolutely right. And if we spend our time doing repetitive things, and as soon as you see something that's repetitive, it cries out for automation. That's not how we should be spending our time.
Right.
We've got to do the individualized things the machines can't do. So therefore we have to use the machines for everything else, and the strategic partnerships that can provide that.
And I think that the clients today are much more demanding in a good way, and they're smarter. And as you're saying, Bob, they know what's out there, and they absolutely are going to expect that all of those services and then some are going to be delivered by their advisor.
Yeah.
And we should run to provide it.
Yes.
Because that's what makes us competitive, and that's what's going to make us grow, by pleasing those clients in their legitimate demands and requests of us.
We talk about a set it and forget it philosophy with our clients, and that's a very dangerous place to be.
Very much so.
You're correct.
So, Dan, I wanted to open up a question to you. You know, when you think about preparing for the strategy for Fragasso Financial, what were the considerations?
You know, our firm is built on process. It's not memory. It's not personal brilliance. And, you know, Bob mentioned a little bit of the systematization of what we need to do. To that end, we spent the better part of 2019 and then really early into the pandemic, which again provided that opportunity to accelerate technology and other items, really preparing the company for what we view as this initiative, which we can talk about a little bit, which is our Associated Advisor Initiative. The idea came from one of our executive team members who oversees the financial advisors, and the project was aptly named the Strengthening Initiative. And each department, led by the manager, went through everything they do with an eye towards efficiency, technology enhancements, streamlining activities, and, you know, in a lot of cases, eliminating activities where we felt there wasn't a return on investment, or maybe it wasn't delivering the client value we anticipated. The Strengthening Initiative allowed us to identify which processes and efficiencies needed examined for the Associated Advisor Initiative. And I think this initiative itself and the exercise positioned the firm for what I would call accelerated but manageable growth. And I think it's important, you know, to make sure you're on the right footing before you know, move into that space. So it was a well-documented and enlightening experience that we went through as a firm, and led by each manager of Fragasso.
That's really interesting. I love that growth idea that you have to really manage it, because
accelerated but manageable.
Yes, because it can get quite out of control, right? If you're doing all these new things and new initiatives, right? It's very easy for it to sort of spiral. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue our great discussion.
Welcome back to Get Real. We're having a great conversation with the Fragasso Financial Advisors, Bob Fragasso, founder, chairman, and CEO, and Dan Dingus, president. Just before the break, we were talking about accelerated but manageable growth. We certainly went through some unprecedented times these last 14 months. So gentlemen, Bob, I'd love for you to share with us what you and the organization experienced during the pandemic, and how were you able to promote the associate model?
That question pivots directly off of Dan's answer, because it's the same conversation carried forward into the following year. Because we were looking to create a new initiative that we might have time to talk about later, our Associated Advisor Initiative, at the behest of our executive team member. By the way, I'll put in the plug because of both of you. Our executive team is 50% women and 50% men.
We love
Great.
that.
One of the women who came up with the suggestion that shouldn't we look at everything? We think, and we pat ourselves on the back and try not to hurt ourselves, patting ourselves too hard. But maybe we weren't as good as we thought, or we're not as ready as we thought. So we spent that whole year, and that was under Dan's orchestration. And he empowered the managers, which is something that's a hard-won lesson over time, by the way. So that way they run their own shops and we help guide. And I think that's pretty important to pin that on the board. So as a result, at the end of 2019, we were ready to kick off this Associated Advisor Initiative. Well, we didn't kick it off. We got kicked along with the rest of the world with the COVID virus epidemic. But what a boon that preparedness was, because we were able to go right into 2020. We have a strategic plan. It's our third strategic plan, third 3-year plan. And so all we did was set everything back a year on the Associated Advisors and launched right in to taking care of our clients. Because we had the processes, because we had the systems, because we had the IT, the software, the upgrades, everything that we had in place, we could spend full time interacting with our clients and individually guiding them relative to their own situations. That readiness provided an opportunity that we wouldn't have had we not done the strengthening initiative in 2019. So we were turnkey ready. Well, what was the result? We grew through the pandemic lockdown. We went remote early last March, didn't miss a beat. All of our people, we needed to get, for some of our folks who didn't normally have the opportunity to work from home, we got them some hardware, connected them, but we didn't miss a beat. Our clients readily accepted Zoom meetings like this one. Who heard of Zoom 2 years ago? Okay. So here we are, and this is how we're functioning. And I think there's a litmus test. Our business, our assets under management increased, and you say, sure, the market recovered. Yes, we're grateful that it did, and it did help us. But our new business coming to us increased during 2020 by 50% over the previous record year of 2019. And that was only because of the organizational structure, the management empowerment that we put in place.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have happened otherwise.
You cannot emphasize that planning and that strategy being put in place well ahead. You would not have achieved that significant growth and the readiness had you not done that. And it is absolutely kudos to the Fragasso Financial Advisor Group to do that. That is a message that we shout from the rooftop.
Yes, we do. And I think, the normal default is everyone has a business continuity plan. That's obviously a part of how you run your practice. But nobody, I've never met anyone who really goes down to every single detail. If something like that were to happen, what's the plan? And
I would suggest changing the name from continuity plan, which is, of course, a regulatory requirement now.
Yeah.
So when the auditors come, you call it a continuity plan.
Yes.
But call it a strengthening initiative.
Yeah.
A
Absolutely.
continuation plan. And it didn't end with the end of 2019. And Dan continues to run that initiative for us today. We just put new things on the table that we
Absolutely.
need to strengthen. We continue to examine, continue to strengthen, continue to bring improved tools to our people and better resources to our clients. So it never ends, but it's so exciting to be able to stay on that ride as a result.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, it's a habit, right? You build that habit into how you're running your practice. And I would say, no matter what type of business owner you are, you cannot stop evolving. What you're doing today, even if it's great, there's always an opportunity to improve it even more. There's a better way, a quicker way, a more efficient way. So that's a great message, I think. And again, in line with what we espouse, you cannot set it and forget it.
No.
What you were doing yesterday doesn't work for tomorrow.
So not only did you do all of those things, you launched a new website and you wrote a new book, which I am so happy to have received a copy. Thank you so much. Starting Your Own Practice. So any advisor who is looking to start their own practice, this is chock full of wonderful information, certainly some of it of which you're sharing today. Talk about a little bit about the journey of writing the book and how that came to be.
Well, I wrote the book 15 years ago, and it was the, to use your term, journey from being a captive practice group to an independent registered investment advisor. And it was a good book 15 years ago, but as we were gearing up for the Associated Advisor Initiative, heretofore, we were looking to buy practices and still look. We bought some practices in our geographic footprint, and we will buy primarily as an exit strategy for advisors who are retiring. And we believe that we can do that most effectively in the tri-state area surrounding Pittsburgh rather than all over the nation. But we can have advisors who are independent or want to become independent connect to us. And so it occurred to me that the book, and they can plug in to our total menu of resources. But to answer your specific question, it occurred to me as we were getting ready to launch, going through 2020, I might well update that book. I can put 15 years more business experience. I can add more about our continuity planning, and there I do mean continuity planning, transition and perpetuity of the firm in that book. And then finally, the importance of strategic partnerships. And that's what the Associated Advisor is all about. We provide everything that an independent needs to be competitive with anybody, whether you're already independent and feel the need for resources, or whether you're plugged into an investment firm, an insurance company, or bank investment department and want to go independent, the way to do it. The book tells that journey, and I'll read from it. It's, if I may, unabashed plug, that you can find it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or any of the other booksellers. Starting Your Own Practice, the Independence Guide for Investment Advisors, and we broadened it, attorneys, CPAs, and other professional service providers. It is the entire blueprint for how to do it. There's a wonderful testimonial from a couple of good friends, Nick Murray, who I think a lot of the people in our industry know, as well as Bob Fralick, who is now out of the industry, but retired owning his own sports teams. Both of them gave a good testimonial as being a blueprint for those wanting to improve their independent status and also those who want to become independent. And by the way, for those looking to jump off, there's a section in there called the D-Day invasion, so you can make the connection. You've got to make that change to independence with the same diligence that Eisenhower and staff did for the Normandy invasion, and with the same secrecy.
That's
so it's a little plug for the book.
That's a great
Thank
analogy.
you for allowing me to do it.
Yeah.
That is great. And of course, you've built this great practice. You're helping, with your book to help other advisors who may be looking toward independence for their practice, right? That's a big step, a big move. But Dan, I wanted to ask you, what makes Fragasso Financial Advisors so attractive for another FA that's looking to join? What's the value prop there?
Sure. I mean, I think it's a fair question. I think there's 2 points, both in maybe how we're unique and also in the value we deliver. If you look at kind of the competitive landscape, there's a lot of different firms. There's what the industry calls the aggregators, which maybe promote a slightly different model, but sometimes are merely a super OSJ. That may not meet your needs if you're seeking some greater assistance. Some firms are merely a sharing of resources, maybe office space or administrative staff. Again, I'm not sure how that may be helping you grow per se. I think in the world, there's also the package platforms. Maybe they have investment products or models or some proprietary type structure. I think while you might feel independent, I would argue, if there's a contract that binds you, how independent are you?
That's a good
We
point.
differ in those models significantly, and we strive to provide considerable value to the advisor or advisor group in seeking what I would call a path to growth. It's a comprehensive model that provides technology and resources, the top CRM systems, reporting for all of your assets, queued up for you, a client portal that is designed for you and promotes you, not the custodian or the firm behind you. Marketing, white labeled materials, communication, seminars. We have a 10-step codified client experience that we spoke about processes earlier. Well, this walks you through a process that helps you gain referrals from your clients, attorneys, and CPAs. The days of cold calling are not necessary if you have a referral system built.
Right.
All of those resources come to bear, and it's a given. We'll take the operations, we'll do the billing on your behalf. Compliance, we have an in-house compliance officer. I mentioned the institutional assets will help with 401k plans, foundations and endowments. And the last big thing, and I think it's really important, is our in-house portfolio management. While many other firms offer portfolio management, maybe they allow you to run it yourselves. We do require advisory business to be managed by our in-house portfolio management department. We do the trading, the rebalancing, tax loss harvesting. It's full-time research of a team for close to $2 billion. It's top notch. I think a lot of other firms say, well, here we have a model that you can use or something like that. This goes much further in depth, and I think that's the critical difference between other firms.
Yeah.
The last point I'll kind of make is, as you can see, it's a very comprehensive path to building growth. What I like to say is Fragasso provides the back office and the mid office, and the advisor remains independent at the front office. They rise to their highest and best use, which is relationship management, sales, and we take off the less valuable work, but still necessary so that they can grow their practice.
Right. It's really, if you're looking for turnkey, this is the ultimate turnkey, right? I literally just have to come in and focus on my clients if I have that affiliation, which is a huge value.
And it's what your clients want, especially during this past year. You're getting calls from your clients. Yes, they want to know what's going on in their account, but they also want to share with you their challenges that they may have been experiencing in a time when the world was turning upside down. So,
Right. Absolutely.
if I were an independent advisor, I'd be ready to sign up.
Bob and Dan, thank you so much for joining us on GetReal. It's absolutely amazing what you've built and will continue to build. The structures that you've implemented. I mean, these are all great things that if somebody really wants to scale, you're doing it 100% right, and we applaud you. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for joining.
It was very kind of you to invite us on. Thank you.
You're welcome. And
Thank you both ladies.
You're welcome. And to our audience, thank you so much for joining us today. And we hope that you found today's episode informative, and perhaps there's an opportunity for you to implement some of what we discussed today in your practice, and take a moment to maybe hop onto Amazon and purchase Mr. Fragasso's book. Until next time, be well.